All right, ladies. It's all ladies today. Welcome, welcome. We are light today, but maybe more people come in. I notice as it gets warmer, people picking other things to do, but we're recording. Woo! So we'll have some things. However, we have a great day in store today. This is the second day of our um, financial discussions. Last time we were together, great information. You all got the video for the financial discussion we had last time, and we played that money habitudes game. That was really good. So if that's something that people would like to do, maybe we can look at doing that again at a later time. But today we have a great discussion planned with Tana Schiewer, like Beaver. That's what she told me. That's they say right there. So Tana is a lifelong learner, a grant writer extraordinaire. We met probably in the Grant Professionals Association. I don't know where it was.
I think Teresa Boyer
To
connected
Teresa
us.
Boyer,
Yep,
right? There's
yep.
another writing program.
Decades ago.
Yep, it's been a long time. And so, as we've been working through this process, bringing in new voices and people that are interested in training grassroots individuals to do what we do much better, because nonprofits are a business. That's right, nonprofits are a business. So, today you're going to get ready for writing grants with Tana Schiewer. So, Tana, the floor is yours. Everybody knows we're recording. If you need to ask a question, I'm going to leave the mic on the end there. I am in a conference today in the back, so I will be listening. I know she's got you guys covered. It's going to be great. By the time you guys get done here today, you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Tana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Crystal. Okay, hi. So we have a small crowd today, which could mean that we may adapt a little, that maybe we do a little bit more personalized work. We'll see what your needs are, and we might be able to um, adjust to what exactly you all need, like maybe a little bit of individual coaching, or depending on what your needs are. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So anyway, as Crystal said, my name is Tana Schiewer, and this is just a little bit about me and my sort of nonprofit journey. I started off in my development career at the Toledo Symphony a long time ago. I'm not going to say how many years. And then I was the first paid executive director for Food for Thought, local nonprofit. And after being in nonprofits for a while, I was like, this is really too stressful. It would be less stressful going to grad school, which was not the most smart assessment of that. But I went to Virginia Tech, got my PhD in rhetoric and writing, and I actually did my dissertation on nonprofit mission statements and did a case study of a small nonprofit in Blacksburg, Virginia. And in between all of those things, I've done consulting in a number of different contexts and kind of put myself through grad school by doing the consulting. And then I did some consulting after grad school. And then I just decided, I originally went to grad school because I was like, I'm going to be a professor. And then I decided academics were not for me. And I went back into nonprofits. So I worked for a little while as the senior manager of institutional giving for an organization called Equal Justice USA. It's a national nonprofit that worked in criminal justice reform. And currently, I am the grants and development manager for the formerly incarcerated college graduates network. So I'm not really doing consulting anymore, but Crystal reached out and asked if I wanted to do this workshop, and I was like, yeah, I love doing this kind of stuff. I really like helping other nonprofits, like nonprofit leaders, grow capacity. So that's why I'm here. And there's some uh, handouts I'm providing that have my email address on them, and I'm happy to answer the occasional question or two. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Basically, throughout all of this with my consulting and the different jobs I've held, my primary expertise is setting up systems and processes for organizations. I kind of go into a lot of newer organizations and kind of put the bones on it, get them going. I've set up a couple of new nonprofits. I worked for a startup for a while, and then I've also helped several nonprofits get a grant program off the ground. So that's sort of what I do, and that is, I think, why Crystal called on me for this today, because I can speak to getting grant ready. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I wanted to get to know just a little bit about you all, and this will go a lot quicker with only 4 people. I would just like to know, like your, let's see, I wrote it down. Your name, title, and organization, your experience with grants, and then an interesting fact about you, something non-work related. And I'll start off. My bachelor's degree is actually in music composition. It has nothing to do with where I ended up today. But for my senior project, I had to write a piece for a full orchestra. So that was cool. I actually got to compose an orchestral piece of music, and that was that's a neat thing to have done in my life. So I'll start over here. All right, so let's talk about being grant ready. What kinds of things do you think you need to have in place? We're going to start a list here. I originally had it up on here. I was going to type it in there, but it's going to be just easier to handwrite it. Can everybody see this? Oh, all the things are locked. Okay, so what kinds of documents or whatever do you think you need to have to be ready to apply for a grant? Financial information like
how much your company brings in a year, your assets, liabilities,
okay,
profit and loss statements.
okay, yeah, all right.
We're not using the mic.
Oh, right, the mic. I'm supposed to remind y'all. That's my bad.
Mission and vision statement.
She said mission and vision.
Yeah.
Mission and vision statement.
She already got it up there.
Projected outcomes. Who you want to service.
All right, for having no grant experience, y'all are good at this.
I gotta think of this name of this. Oh, my mind just went blank. I can see it. Can't even think of the name of it.
Audits.
Audits. Got it. I'm gonna put that over here with the financial stuff.
Well, we have to see if we qualify to fill out the grant, don't we?
Okay, so not necessarily something you like have, but you may need to do like an eligibility quiz or something.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna put this over here. Eligibility.
List of board members.
Oh yeah, you will have to have a board list. Well, you would need to have a board, but yes.
Maybe identify who the executive leaders are of the organization.
Oh, like
Who's
staff,
your CEO?
Staff. So maybe
CFO.
an org chart. Is that what you're thinking of?
No, I was thinking of audits. But
Oh, you did say audits. I'm sorry. I've already lost track of who's saying what. Y'all are doing great.
Most recent annual reports.
I'm not. I don't know.
Oh, she did. Are you guys looking at the handout? I forgot she made copies of the handout. Dang it. She has-
Reading is fundamental, right?
Reading is fundamental.
I was going to say the goals. Like
Mm.
what goals are you trying to achieve with whatever
Mhm.
grant is associated with?
Anything else? Well, you all have this in front of you, but so this is. Can I increase? Okay, so this is a handout provided to y'all. But yes, so these are all things you need. This is awesome. So for you were going to say for some grants, right? You said originally, because some don't always require audits, right? Yes. So this is why I put like the governance documents. I kind of split them because there are grants available that are for people, organizations that don't yet have some of these things, or organizations that are starting out. Yes, or they're made for ones that are more established or whatever. And so sometimes you don't need to have all of these things, but the basics are, most of them are they're going to want to see your 501c3 status. It's harder to find a grant that is for something, an organization that doesn't have that. Your list of they want to see who your board is. Sometimes your articles of incorporation, if it's a specific grant for like a starting out kind of a thing and they're going to help you get going, sometimes they want to see that. It's really not that common otherwise. And then your budget. And so those are kind of like those basic things. Yeah. You should just keep it with you.
What are articles of incorporation? What
That's
does
what you
that
have
look
to
like?
file to be an entity.
Okay.
There's like I believe it's been a long time since I've done this. I believe there are like canned ones you can just like be like, oh, these are our articles. It's just like basic. It's your organizational, like, we're gonna have this many board members and we're gonna follow these legal things to be an organization.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything to that?
No. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of organizations will just take sort of like I does Ohio, I feel like Ohio even provides like sample ones or something.
I always go online and find samples.
Yeah. I feel like Ohio does provide, I could be wrong. But you can get more involved in that and like get together with your board and create like rules. Like it'll often include rules for like board terms, how long your board members remain on the board, and how many board members you will have, and what's your financial oversight like. And so it's like the basic structure of your organization. But like I said, yeah, a lot of people do like a canned ones just to get started, so they can decide on that stuff later. And then other ones will ask for audited financial statements. Now, a lot of times, if you are newer and you're applying for something, even if they do ask for audited financial statements, if you say, well, we haven't had that done yet, they'll be okay with that 9 times out of 10. You just need to have, communication with the program officer. Yes, ma'am.
In Ohio, and I'm not sure if this is in other states, but I know in Ohio we also have to have that continued. What is it called? You have to or make sure your status is up every 5 years.
Yeah,
what's that called?
I don't know.
Continued existence.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, yes, and yeah, that's just a basic. You have to report to the state every year. Like
Every 5 years.
every 5 years, we still exist. We're here, and I think you have to pay another fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Most recent 990s. That's that form. Are any of you familiar with 990s?
Mm-hmm.
What a 990 is? yes and no. I'm seeing both. So 990 is the form that you have to fill out for the federal government. That's just like it's obnoxious. It's a very large document, but it's a publicly available document about the nonprofit, and it includes like your financial information. Also, there's like information about what your charity does, and then if you received money from different organizations, you have to list that there. You have to list like the top 5 salaries. You have to list your board, and so that's like the publicly available information. Annual reports are yes.
I have a question about that 990.
Yeah.
So for that 990, is it a cap that you have to list for your top paid employees? Is there like a certain amount? Do you have to list it if they're only making a certain amount?
That's a really good question that I keep meaning to look up, and I don't know because I've looked at so many 990s because as somebody researching grants, I want to look at the foundation's 990s and see who they're giving to, right? And so then I'm out of curiosity, I also look at what they're paying their their officers. And sometimes I see those numbers and sometimes I don't. And I'm like, or for nonprofits too. And I'm like, well, I know they're paying their executive director. Why isn't that on here? So I kind of wonder if there might be a threshold of income. But also I've seen lower, you know.
She might know.
She might know. Okay.
This is the pro back here.
It is kind of interesting to comb through them because they're publicly available and see what people are
Right.
paying.
On most 990s, they just want you to list the highest paid officers or the highest paid individuals. That's one of the questions that's on there.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have to put everybody like in the salaries
it's the highest,
on there.
but is there a threshold for
Oh.
how much money that highest person has to make?
No, I don't think so.
Because I swear sometimes I see they don't list.
Yeah.
So how do they get away with that?
The IRS don't seem to mind. So I'm not sure. I have never seen where they put like 100,000, 50,000 is the minimum because the person that make the most money should be the person on there. But maybe they don't pay anybody and they pay them as a contractor, and so they may not put it in there that way
with it.
because they're not an employee.
That
could possibly be the case because there's no, you know, what I mean, a lot of nonprofits today don't bother with employees because the tax liability, you know, the reporting and all of that stuff. So they might do it as a independent contractor, and maybe they can get away with it like that. But that would be something to look at.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a question I've always asked, and also too for churches, they don't have to file the 990, right?
I guess that's a no. I guess if they are also a 501c3,
they are. And I've never done it for our church.
So you must not be a 501c3.
And most of the I always go to the conferences and things like that. And so far, we have not for churches.
Interesting. Yeah.
But we do for
because you
other
can be a church
nonprofits
and a 501c3, or you can be a church and not a 501c3.
That's true.
Yeah. Did you have a movement over here? Okay. Policies and procedures, including financial oversight. So it is not typical for a funder to ask for like, give me all your policies and procedures, but they might ask for like a specific type of policy. One that is very common in certain fields is a safeguarding policy, particularly if you're working with children.
Yes.
So they may ask for like that specific policy about how you're going to ensure that you're protecting children in your program, or if you work with other vulnerable populations. So they might ask for that specific one, or they maybe their focus is on equity and inclusion. So they may ask for like your DEI policy or equitable hiring or anything like that. So it's not typical. They're going to be like, give me your whole policy and procedure manual. It's not going to be something they usually do. Other fundamental things, almost always, it's going to be like, give me all your basic information, your address, all that stuff. Give me a brief paragraph about your organization. What's your organizational history? What's your mission and vision? Don't usually ask for values, but sometimes putting that in there in some way that matches the values that they have can be a bonus for being like, hey, we're like you.
I found that they do ask that if you have any HUD grants.
Oh,
HUD does, yeah.
really?
Yes. HUD is
Okay.
crazy.
I've never applied for HUD, so I don't.
Don't.
Yeah, federal grants are a whole other thing.
Oh my God.
They are quite involved and annoying. So list of key staff and bios. So a lot of times for a grant, they will want to know who's going to be doing the work, and they want to know a brief biography so they know that they are qualified to do the work. So a lot of times, so these are, just to clarify, these are the things that when I start a grant program, I will start to collect all of these and have them in a folder. So it's not, I don't have to go around grabbing stuff last minute for every single grant. And so I will, and this one is an easy one. You just go to everybody. Most of them have a bio on the website. You know, most places, most organizations gather a bio from their staff for some reason. And you can just pluck that off the website and then ask for everybody's like resume or whatever. And then you can kind of lean into whichever part of their bio is better for that grant. You know what I mean? Just have those together. And then staff and board demographics. That is sometimes asked as well. Again, sometimes the ones that are more, there are organizations that are more focused on, they want to see a certain kind of representation. Are you, everybody's doing this. I know it's kind of warm in here. Sometimes people want to see LGBTQ representation. Sometimes people want to see that you have a more racially diverse staff. And so they want to see, or, what's your representation of women and men? And so they want to see your staff demographics listed out. So that's sometimes asked for as well. Okay, and then list of key programs. So one of the sometimes the most tedious thing, I feel like it should be the easiest thing, but sometimes the most tedious task I've had to deal with wherever I've worked is getting just a list of the programs and their budgets. I don't know why, but seems like it should be easy. But the best thing you can do is just have a list of your programs, and then for each one have a basic program description and a budget at the very least. Ideally, for each one, you would have all these extra pieces of information about the program. What's the target population? What outcomes are you looking for? We'll talk about all that in a minute. But at the very, very least, the basic is, what is the program? What are you doing in the program? And what is the budget? That gives whoever is writing your grants an easy way to look for things that match. So I can get in there and research and search on keywords of like, youth, sports, whatever the things are. All right, bear with me. We're going to just go over a couple more things. The development collateral I put on there just because it's helpful for wording. I love to steal wording from other things we've already created because then you don't have to rewrite it.
That's right.
It's the easiest thing. Love it. So if you've created any kind of donor outreach materials or, any kind of appeal to anything, it's great. You can just go in there and just borrow language from things. It's my favorite thing to do. Why recreate the wheel? And then successes and statistics. Oh, yeah.
So how does that work with if you're new and you don't have some of these things yet?
It's okay.
Does it decrease your chances of getting the grant?
It would decrease your chances of like more established grants. Like if you were going to try to go after some like big grantor that has some type of grant that really established nonprofits would all be going after. Yeah, but you would probably not choose to go after those. Like your chances would be better if you would go after, like, there are plenty of programs that are like, they want to help the new, like there are so many funders. Oh, I feel cooler. So many funders want to fund the new stuff. Okay. They don't want to sustain programs that have been going on. They're so much more interested in new things, new nonprofits, new programs, because they want to be a part of starting something. So you can find lots of things that will even help you get started. That'll help you, like you can be like, well, we have our 501c3, but we don't have, staff. We don't have budgeting software. We don't have this, we don't have that. And you can apply and they'll be like, well, we want to help you with capacity building. And then you get the money to do that. So so this is a big, big, big list of the ideal. It'd be great if you had all these things, but you don't have to have them all. Yes.
Would that be? Oh, sorry. I'll be a better question first. So those smaller grants that you were saying are grants that would help start people starting out. Are those more of your local grants?
Not
like
always.
City? Really?
No.
Oh.
There are larger funders that provide capacity building grants, especially for grassroots organizations. There's also, I'll give you a website, justfund.us. That is a website that is dedicated to grassroots nonprofit organizations. And you register on that site and you set a goal for fundraising and you create a basic kind of an application. And then there's a bunch of funders who are on there, and then they go through and they look at the different organizations that are on there and they go, oh, I want to fund that. And they can kind of look at your organization and contribute to your full goal. You can also, once you're registered, they do have RFPs on there that come through, and they're really aimed at grassroots organizations. So they are aimed at this oh, we don't have all this capacity yet. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's actually some big national nonprofits that do, yeah. It's awesome. I'm seeing more and more of it than I did 20 years ago. Not that I'm old enough to have been doing grants 20 years ago. When I was a teenager, I was looking at grants. So keep that in mind. Don't oh, we're not big enough. Look at I've been shocked. So look at the big guys, even if you don't think, So anyway, other things, photographs, videos, other collateral materials. People love that stuff. They love to see, the video, the visual stuff captures attention. Your community partners, make sure you keep a list of them so you can always remember who you've worked with, who you can go to quickly for a support letter. That's always helpful. If you're a smaller organization or you're just getting started with grants, really good idea to join forces with another nonprofit and apply together. They love that. Funders love that. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. Although, to your point earlier, the local nonprofits would help with that too. The smaller, I know, the Toledo Community Foundation is. Yeah. Okay. So then these are the more advanced things, and let me just check my time here. Okay, we're good. These are things to work towards. I don't want to overwhelm with and then there's all these other things, but you want to start working towards having strategic plans, work towards thinking about evaluation, a sustainability plan. How will you sustain this program once that money goes away from that grant? They'll want to know that. They'll ask that question. Once you don't have our funding, what are you going to do? You have to, say that. And even if it's just, we are establishing our program, we're going to continue to apply for more grants, and we're going to ask community members to support, you just say that. Who here is familiar with logic models?
Let's say that again.
A logic model or a theory of change? Hey, we have one. Do you want to explain it? No, I didn't. So a theory of change is basically your idea, your concept of why you think your intervention is going to work to solve the problem that you're trying to solve. Okay. So, and that's really something anybody should have when they're doing the work they're doing, right? You shouldn't just be like, I'm going to do this program because I think it'll be fun and I want somebody to give me money for it. Like, that's not a good reason to do, an intervention. And then the logic model, which would be another advanced sort of discussion for another day, is laying out the steps of why you come up then with the intervention, what kind of activities you do, what outcomes you expect of it, et cetera, et cetera. Those are things that once you get those other things under you, you can start to create that. But they may ask for that in an application, maybe some of these initial applications. But in a lot of them, if that's something new to you, you talk to the program officer, they'll actually help you through it. They'll walk you through what it means to create one of those. A lot of program officers, like, just be willing to ask the questions. I think too many people are like, oh, there's this application, I just have to do it. No, call them, ask, like, what about this part of the application? And they're more than happy to help. I think too many of us just try to do it without. But one thing I would point out here to really think about is evaluation. It's something too many people do not think about. And especially when you're starting off, you want to think about how you can prove that what you're doing is useful. So even if it is just surveys, asking people what they got out of it, out of the program, or measuring knowledge maybe at the beginning of a program, and then measuring where that knowledge is at the end of that program, having some sort of evaluative piece that you can then use on a future grant to say, well, we tested this and we had these results. Then they go, oh, well, then we'll help you try to, do that again. And then you're starting to build that and being able to move more towards, more and more larger grants from bigger institutions and all that stuff. Okay. And then this part is just, if you have had grants in the past, you want to make sure you collect all that information somewhere so you can know who you've received funding from in the past, what the amounts were, if you're registered on any grant sites, especially if you've gotten any federal grants, you need to keep up those registrations. Like once every year, you have to re-register. And then also, sometimes you can go back to previous funders. Sometimes they'll be like, you can't apply for this grant unless you got a grant from us before. So that's helpful to know, because then if you're just starting off new and you don't think, oh, we have never gotten any grants from anybody, but who knows? Oh, you got this grant. Oh, now I can apply. So it's really useful to have that information. Okay, so I just spewed like a whole bunch of information at you. Are there any initial questions on this list?
So of this list, should we start, even when we get ready to write a grant, should we start making sure we have at least the basics in a folder so we don't have to go looking for?
Yeah.
So the things on this list, what would you recommend that we start gathering and have in a folder?
I would say well, first of all, your 501c3 letter. I would write out your organizational, either, I said organizational history on here. I would call it maybe about us. So like an about paragraph, I would have that written and put somewhere. Your mission statement, and possibly maybe a version of that that's a little bit more descriptive. Those are the basic things you're going to need right away. You're going to have that document. You're going to need a copy of your organizational budget. Let's see, what else is normally absolutely 100% required. It's so funny because I don't know why I put that on most funders will ask for this information because they don't. I don't know why I put that there. So I will fix that. Because I'm going to send out or I'm going to provide a link to a folder with this information so you can refer to it later. I'll fix that because they really don't ask for that. I don't know why I put that on there, but occasionally for the newer programs they will. Board members, the list of your board members and their affiliations. Sometimes they don't want affiliations, sometimes they do. And those would be the initial things. Now, again, some places might ask for audits and stuff like that. If you have those, throw them in there. A lot of times, what I do is I create folders like a grants attachments folder. So things that are in PDF form that I can just grab and attach to that they're going to stay the same, right? So the budget, the organizational budget for the year, the 501c3, any audits, 990s, those kinds of things that are static, and I'll just put them in a folder. And then I will keep separate folders for like program descriptions and budgets. And the program description will include all the like outcomes and activities and all of that information. It depends on how you prefer to set up your information. Some of that is a personal brain kind of thing of how your brain sorts information. For some of the stuff, I like to keep a spreadsheet of like quotes from participants is a good one. And then accomplishments. So it'll be like, just so I can sort through and remember like, oh, one of our greatest accomplishments is that 50% of our students did XYZ, and then another one will be like a quote that like participating in this program made me feel excellent, and it's great because then you can pull those out and plug them into an application. So yeah, most places I've been use Google Drive for storing information, and so I'll create folders through that. And then the great thing is that it's Google, so it's searchable and like it's really easy to find stuff if you forget where you put it. But yeah, any other initial questions on this?
Those of us who are part of doing this grant, we should already have these things because the things you were listing were the things that we had to submit to Crystal.
Okay.
And so those things we submitted, then we should have a folder so we can go to it and not have to go back and look all over for it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of ahead of the game, those of us who were participants in putting this grant together.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, it just reduces a headache if you have the stuff organized ahead of time, you know where you can find it. And then every time, and if you don't have the time to just take a moment and do that at some point, like, oh, I'm going to take this time and organize these folders, then every time you do a grant, just do it while you're doing it. Like, oh, as I'm attaching this to this document, I'm also going to put it in this folder. So next time I can find it, Yeah. It also prevents you from having like 20 copies of the same thing, because sometimes people like apply for it and then they'll add a copy of it to that folder for Ford Foundation. It's in there, and Sigma Foundation. It's in there too. Like you just put it in every single folder. So, any other questions? We have two new folks in the back. Hi. How you doing?
All right. How you doing?
Good. What's your name?
I'm Charles Strong.
Did you have to check your name?
That kind of morning.
What organization are you with?
New Life.
Oh, you're also with New Life. Okay. Do you have any grant experience? Okay. And tell me something interesting about yourself.
Fun fact.
Wife's retired now. I'm working with my wife.
Twice retired?
Yeah. U.S. military and Army
Oh.
Corps of Engineers.
Oh, okay. All right. How about
My
you?
name is Cassandra Jenkins.
Cassandra. Okay.
I'm
Also with wow, we have a big contingency for the Okay. And something interesting? No.
Oh,
No.
that's good.
Oh. No. Oh, no.
And none of you get up and go with her?
Oh my. Okay. All right. So let's just take like a quick like 5-minute break if you need to go to the bathroom, get some water. And then we'll come back. I'm gonna introduce sort of the activity we'll do before we get into lunch. And then you'll be kind of working on your own through lunch, and then we'll, yeah, I'll explain later.
You know, they're not good. Oh, I've heard about it. Are they good?
Oh, you did?
This is
Are they good?
this is duplicate.
There's a
They
duplicate.
do have red on
Yeah.
it. I've heard about it. I thought they like red banana. I've never seen red banana.
Okay, yep, okay. No, that's not, this is, you're supposed to have a blank one and a filled one.
Grapefruit and orange.
I probably should have named this one a different.
Right here is
Yes.
justfund.us.
Mm-hmm.
My nephew's trying to that's all my specifically for kids that
Oh.
What did I do with my phone? So did you Google it?
and
Red orange?
Yeah, it's red.
does it taste okay?
Oh, wow.
And right now he's working on the guidelines and things that have to be in place.
Oh, sure, yeah, there's gotta be all kinds of regulations for that.
We have like 12 acres of swampland, and it used to be a nice pond. We used to have a canoe on it, so we were getting the federal government to help us do that for a while.
Oh, wow.
I said that would be so perfect.
Oh, yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. It would. All right. Okay, is everybody back? Yeah, I think that's everybody. All right. So we're going to talk about, so the activity we're going to do today is around the program description. And if you are somebody that has all of your programs written out and it's all fine, I can find something else for you to do. But I'm going to introduce this for now. So you should have the sheet in front of you, but I'll also pull it up here. Okay, so this is my program example. Thanks, ChatGPT. So I didn't want to share any like previous clients or like my current work or anything. So I was like, well, ChatGPT will build one for me. Okay, so this is a basic program description that you can build. You can use in grant proposals. So you can see all the different components you need. So I'm just going to talk briefly about these. You should. If not, there's more back there. Yeah. Okay, so obviously you need a name for your program. That can come last if you want to build all the other things first. I am terrible at naming things, so that always comes last for me, and then somebody else usually comes in and makes some kind of snappier thing, and then I'm like, I can't believe I didn't think of that. So yeah. So anyway, so this program is Youth Tech Futures. Then you want to make sure you put down your target population. That is something always that your funders are going to want to know. They're going to want to know who you are doing these programs for. So this is for youth ages 14 to 18 from underserved communities in Urbanville, which I'm assuming is a made-up city that ChatGPT decided to come up with. You want to be as specific as possible with these target populations. So, and you can have multiples. That's fine. And then the problem being addressed. Many teens in underserved communities in Urbanville lack access to modern technology and STEM education, resulting in lower educational achievements and limited career opportunities in tech-driven industries. So this is a clearly outlined issue that they lack access to technology and STEM education. And then the result of that is lower educational achievements and limited career opportunities. So that is the issue that this organization has decided that they want to find a solution for. So that is the simple listing of what the problem is. Then you list what your proposed solution is for that. Now, granted, there's lots of different problems in different areas, and different organizations might address them in different ways, right? So what you want to do is think about why you think your solution is a good solution, or what is the problem, what would be a good solution, what you think is going to come out of that, and then you write your proposed solution. And this is where it's just like a paragraph of like kind of your general solution, not all the details yet. Okay, so Youth Tech Futures aims to bridge the technology gap for these teens by providing comprehensive access to technology, education, and mentorship, thereby opening up future career opportunities in STEM fields. It's not very specific yet, right? It's like, oh, this is generally what we're doing. This is the kind of thing that you say that to somebody and they go, okay, yeah, but what do you do? It's just giving the basic, like, this is the solution. It's not the details yet, but that's what comes next, right? So then you have to say, well, then how are we going to do this? So this is our aim. This is kind of what we're doing, but now we get into the details. So here's the program activities. So they talk about tech workshops, mentorship program, and tech talks. These are the 3 program activities that are part of this particular program. And they give a basic description of what it is. Weekly hands-on workshops in coding, app development, and robotics. The mentorship program pairs each student with a tech professional who can provide guidance and career advice. Monthly tech talks by tech leaders to inspire students. So these are the activities of the program. And then below are the expected outcomes. And that is very important because these are the things that a funder is going to ask for in a grant application. What is the problem you're addressing? How are you addressing it? What are the activities you're doing? Often also a timeline. What is the timeline for your activities? When are you going to be doing all this stuff? And then what are the outcomes? What do you expect will be the positive thing that will come out of this? And then here, 90% of participants will demonstrate improved skills in at least 2 technological competencies by the end of the program. 75% of participants will report increased interest. And then we'll establish a network of at least 50 mentor-mentee pairs by the end of the first year. So 2 of those, that would be where the measurement comes in with evaluation, right? So you would have to do some sort of competency test at the beginning and the competency test at the end to test the skills, to demonstrate that your program is being effective. And then the network is a measure that's a little bit more easy, that's a little bit more tangible. Did you establish a network? Yes or no. That's a little bit easier to measure. So these are the building blocks of kind of a larger program description that is what they'll kind of want to see in in a narrative form, right? Like, what is your program? And you would describe like the bigger, longer thing, and then they're going to want you to break it down into these items. Any questions on that part so far? Okay. And then this down here is the resulting, like, here's the program description. So it is a longer form of everything above that. So it includes the target population, what the problem is, how you're addressing the problem, and then the exact steps you're taking, and then the expected outcomes. So that kind of a paragraph, that what I like about this is it kind of walks you through what the paragraph should look like. If some of the problems I have with writing is when somebody comes up and they're just like, describe this. And I'm like, okay. And you're just like, I don't know where to start. But this is like, well, you know, don't be formulaic about it. Don't be like one sentence about that, one sentence about that. But it does give you like kind of the steps to walk through in your paragraph that gives you a full idea of what the whole program description can be. Now, these are the basics. You can add in more detailed information if you want to. More like program activities you could add in. Now, expected outcomes are the broader, sometimes called KPIs. They're outcome-based key performance indicators of this is like a skill that has changed. You might have what are called outputs, where you're expecting maybe a number of students that would participate in these workshops or something like that. That is also something a grantor might ask, is how many students do you expect to help with this program? And a lot of that is they want to know, we're going to give you X amount of money. We want to know that that money is going to be returned in a good way. A lot of this, unfortunately, comes down to they want a good return on their investment. They want to know that every dollar they're spending is, useful.
I heard you say an acronym, KPI. Can you
Yes.
explain what that is to everybody?
Yes, I do need to take a sip of water first. Sorry. So a KPI it stands for Key Performance Indicator, and it is a measure that you that indicates that you are accomplishing what you set out to accomplish. So there's all kinds of data you might track as an organization, but the KPIs are the ones that you find to be the most important. So like these expected outcomes might be your like maybe the first two are your KPIs. Like we want to see improved skills and we want to see increased interest. Or maybe there's another program, the mentorship program, pair each student with a tech professional. So maybe that jumps into another program after this that places students in careers. So maybe another KPI then is the number of students who go through your program that end up in a position in a STEM field, or even in a certain level of like, in the, I don't know, like if there's a listing of tech, like the top 100 tech companies or something, you know what I mean? Like a Forbes 500, but for tech or whatever, I don't know. So those would be the things that maybe you're focused on as an organization as the thing that tells you that you're doing a good job and that you are actually helping the people you set out to help. That makes sense? Cool. Okay, so any other questions? And then what you would want to do after this is add the budget. You would want to look through, you would, after you would describe all the activities, you would think through, what do I need in order to accomplish these activities? And you would write out all of those expenses and you would put that down. And then if you create this and then you have it somewhere in your lovely folder organization, whenever you go to apply for a grant, all you have to do is pull that out and the information is already there. And maybe, there's something you decide to tweak for the grant, that's fine. You change something, you add something, you take something away. Maybe you're only doing a portion of the program for a grant, that's fine, but you have something to start with. And then you're not trying to just do stuff on the fly. So what you have in front of you are blank papers. Or if you prefer to work on your laptop, I have a QR code that takes you to a Google Doc that you can make a copy of. And there is lunch back there. So what we are going to do is you can work in groups if you prefer. You can work on your own if you prefer. I think it would be good to at least work in a pair or something so you can like bounce ideas off of each other. But we're going to write program descriptions, yay, of a program that you want to do in your organization or you are already doing, just so you can gather all the information. If you prefer to handwrite, there are handouts that have some space for you to do that. And we're also going to take this opportunity to grab lunch. And so you're just going to... Okay, so...
Did we name it?
All right. Thank you all for working on that. The first question I have for y'all is, what did you learn about yourselves or your programs through that activity? Not like the actual descriptions and everything, but like, did that bring up anything for you? Like, were there any challenges? Did it make you think about anything else? Lead you to any other thoughts? That a no from everyone?
I think it allowed us to. Oh, sorry. I think it allowed us to really think through what was on our mind. So it's easy to say we want to house youth.
Mm.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Who do you speak to? You know, what does that look like? So it allowed us to dig a little deeper. So it's not just fluff.
Yeah.
And surface.
Yeah.
Answers.
That's good. And that makes me think that if I do this again in the future, I might include a list of questions to get you thinking, instead of just, a couple of categories, like include some extra generative questions underneath there. Anyone else? Anyone? Nope. Yes, sir. I'll bring you the mic.
Yeah, I think in our discussion, it was kind of like the same thing Terrell was saying. I think as a church, we talked about it with you, it's so much stuff you're trying to do. You try to get that focus.
Yeah.
And how do you start, especially when you try to maybe take on too much at the same time? How do you start with the people you start with and stuff? That can be a real challenge, especially when you're surrounded by a lot of needs.
Oh, 100%. I think that's one of the most difficult things. It's easier if you have a bunch of people who coalesce around a need, right? You're all like, we want to do something to help this, and then deciding what to do is the bigger challenge, right? You have all different kinds of ideas, and then how do you get all those details in place, right? It's such a challenge. Any other thoughts?
I have a thought. I'm just coming in on the tail end.
Hold on.
We have all types of ideas how we want to help. We have all types of ideas of.
It's going on this.
I'm sorry. We have all types of ideas how we want to help other people. We got this program, that program. But the first thing you need to take care of is you. Because if you don't take care of this right here, then you're going to be no good for everybody else. So once you get this done, then have a backup for your backup. Always.
That's true. All right. Final thought? This is going to catch me twice. Maybe I should put it down. Okay. All right. So who would like to share their whole sheet that they worked on? And I have a prize for whoever wants to share first. You get this lovely tool journal that has we felt this paper. It is very silky paper. It is very nice.
Okay, I will do it.
And you know what? I happen to have this is a tool notebook, and I happen to bring a tool pen with me. I will throw in the pen.
Only because I like gifts. And you know what's so terrible? I like them only to give them away.
No, that's beautiful. That's great. That's not terrible.
Get the mic.
Oh, well, the mic. The mic.
Get the mic so it can hear you.
You know enough.
Oh.
Do I have to stand up in front of the class?
You can stay right there.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm just reciting what we.
Yeah, you could just read through it.
Okay.
You can add color if you'd like.
The name of our program is Positive Outcomes 1821. The targeted populations are persons between the ages of 18 and 21, transitioning out of foster care. What did we say?
Unhoused.
Just unhoused youth. Okay, unhoused youth. That's what we are doing from 18 to 21. The problem being is homelessness, resulting in, you know what, I have notes all over the place. Homelessness due to the lack of connection to family, housing resources, shelter, and temporary shelters. And I think that was it. Okay. Proposed solutions is partnering with temporary housing and other programs, and also resulting in permanent housing. I think that's all I put. I don't know. Y'all help me out if I'm not right. Jump in. Program activities. We will do workshops that are job readiness, on mental health, budgeting, mentorships, social connections, which would be like community building, connecting to education, making sure they have a GED if they want to go to college, helping them get to college, trade programs for these persons. The expected outcome, 90% housed, 95% connected with a job, and we would like 25 mentor to mentee pairs by the end of the first year. And I did not finish my sample program description.
That's all right.
But, you know, in a small sentence that I started, positive outcome 1821 is designed for young adults between 18 and 21 that have housing and job challenges in Toledo, Ohio, who lack the resources to succeed.
Okay.
That's as far as I got.
All right, great. Thanks. Anybody have any thoughts or feedback or anything they want to share?
Please give me some thoughts.
Thank you so much for sharing. I am a very visual person, so I didn't quite absorb all of the activities that you mentioned, but I will take a look later. I would love to see more.
I could explain it a little more.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Job readiness and just really preparing these young adults to be ready to interview for jobs.
Okay.
And to be ready to go into the workforce.
Nice.
Mental health. A lot of these young adults may have mental issues that are putting them in a position to that they cannot move forward. So we want to provide mental health wellness to them. Budgeting. Once they get a job, they need to know how to budget to move forward in life. A mentorship program. Our mentorship program was pairing each of these young adults with someone else and to help them succeed. A lot of times they need to see what it looks like to succeed. So pairing them with successful people, successful mentors. Also, social connections. Carolyn could explain that a little better.
The social part of it was more so, and it overlaps with some of the other things, but more so, a lot of times youth in that category may be on their own or think that they're on their own. And so there are trust issues, things of that nature. So connecting them with a community of people so they have connections that they may not naturally have. They may not naturally have family connections, things of that nature. So it allows them to build community and rebuild trust in others. So that's very important. So that was the social side of things.
Great. Awesome.
And the last one was just education. If they don't have a GED, we would help them get a GED. If they have a high school diploma and they want to go to college, either one of these, we would help connect them with people who can guide them through, especially if they're first generation college students. There's so much that they don't understand, and to have that guidance and people that can connect them to the right resources that they need. If they need to know how to fill out the FAFSA, which I heard has changed and really crazy right now.
Yeah.
So that's they'll need help. There are trade programs if they decide they don't want to go to school, but they're interested in one of the trade programs, heating and cooling. Connecting them with those type of programs, we would be able to do that.
Yeah, awesome. And I love that you had very specific outcomes. That was awesome. Great. Terrific. I love it. Who wants to go next?
Ours program name is Tessa Cheerleading Program.
Okay.
It's really simple. It's youth ages 5 through 18. Usually we just really focus on youth ages 5 to 14, but we have youth that will come back that are from 15, 18 that will come back and help with whatever camps we have.
Okay.
Or
so they get to kind of
they'll be the teachers as well.
Yeah.
So they're giving back from somewhere where they got some experience from. The problem that we're addressing is aspiring and current cheerleaders that don't have really experience in cheerleading, and they need to know the proper techniques. The proposed solution is to have different mini camps or sessions and classes throughout the year, with always a culmination of having a competition or a unity cheer at the end, so they can showcase what they've learned. Program activities, because we're doing the whole cheerleader. We need cheer camps, having competitions, self-care classes, empowerment workshops. The cheer camp would focus on the techniques. We'll have people come in so that they can learn how to flip, so they can do the proper, I don't know, all the little cheer. That's her area. I just the expected outcomes is that 90% of the youth participants will gain the skills and want to come back in the future and give back to where they've gotten something from.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Program description: our cheerleading program for youth ages 5 to 18 is designed to provide a comprehensive and engaging experience that focuses on sportsmanship, proper cheerleading techniques, positive self-awareness, mental health, proper attire, and culminates in a showcase. Throughout the events, participants will have the opportunity to learn and practice a wide range of cheerleading skills, including jumps, stunts, tumbling, and dance routines. Our experienced coaches will ensure that participants will receive proper instruction in a safe and supportive environment. And the last thing that it's not on here, but we're also going to shout out those students who are doing well academically in school. That's the student athlete part, because you're always a student first and you're an athlete second. And to show them what other opportunities there are. Like, there are cheer scholarships you can get if you want to go further in college. You can get a cheer scholarship just like you can get a football scholarship.
Yeah.
So that's what the program is going to be about.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Any feedback? Thoughts? Anyone? I would just suggest that there was other things you listed at the end that you were addressing that you didn't list in the problem section.
Right.
That I would say add there.
That's
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I think those some like leadership, sportsmanship, and I think there's stuff about athletics helping improve. I feel like there's even something about athletics helping improve academics. Isn't there something? Some statistics about that.
Without academics, you can't really go far.
Sure. Yeah, and then
somebody to be able to support you.
And then maybe add some specific outcomes around leadership skills, or even possibly like, even though it'd be a low percentage, maybe somebody getting cheerleading scholarships. You know, obviously not 90% of your kids are going to get cheerleading, but maybe like, you know, I don't know, 1 or 2, or I don't know. So yeah, just as many things as you can say you're doing, the better, because then you can apply for more different things focused on different problem areas and outcomes and stuff. So yeah, awesome. Who's next? Anybody? Nobody else want to share?
Really? Yes. What was it about? Well, come on over. Let's partner. She said no. We can partner on that part, but as far as saying it, I was gonna show it's meant to be. I said I really wanted to do this. I said this is meant to be. They came up with the same thing, almost exactly.
Okay, so we have similar programs over here. Right? Any other shares? Did you? No.
I'm always cold. I'm always cold. First it was hot box over here. I'm just finally at the point that I'm not shivering.
I saw you looking down. I was waiting for you to look up.
Well, I didn't really go through all the steps because we have been, idea was given to us since we are a teacher organization to mentor teachers, new teachers that come into the district, be a resource for them basically. They've been through school, but now applying that in a real classroom with real kids and different techniques, classroom management, um, how you do your lesson plans. Are you planning and putting enough in the lesson plans? Sometimes we put 5 minutes worth of work, and then your class is off the hook for 50 minutes. So learning how to pace, I guess that's the word I want, pace your lesson plan for that period or however long you have those kids. And then always leaving time to evaluate. So basically, research based, what's the word I want? Strategies. Thank you, Kathleen. Strategies that have been tried and are true, but sometimes as a new teacher, you just have so much coming at you to have to be a resource for them to come to and say, I need help with this, or how can you help me with that? Or we're saying, this is what we're covering this time. And like, I need help with that in that area. So I'll go to that or whatever. But to be a resource for new teachers in education.
I love that. Did you go into the classroom and show them how to do it?
No.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You could tell somebody how to do it. Because I used to tell my girlfriend, I say, you tell me what to do, but I need to let me see you do it. All right. Can you show me? Because some people you have to show them, not just tell them what they should do.
Yeah.
And as teachers, we have
gosh.
different learners.
Can I just I love that you just said that, because that is a great thought to keep in mind when you're writing a grant, is the show don't tell. So a lot of times, if you can include a story or an example or anything that demonstrates what your program is doing or what you hope to do, instead of just talking about it, is so much more effective in the writing. And that kind of reminds me, I'm gonna pull this up here. I included like a bonus thing. This is something I just sort of threw in last minute. It's because I wrote it a while ago and I came across it when I was organizing my files for this, and it's just my my grant writing process about how I approach a grant. So this is not in the realm of just sort of like preparing the stuff and having it all ready. This is like once there's an RFP to respond to, it's sort of like what I do and how I approach it. And we have a little extra time because I had left a little bit more time for this because I was anticipating maybe having a few more different programs to talk about. So we can talk a little bit about this. And I'm going to put a QR code. That's not. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to put a QR code up at the end. And this is a folder I created for you all that has all these handouts in it. So then you can access them at any time, or if you lose them or whatever. And then also, if I ever update them, then they're just here for you. Or if you ask me for something and I have, like before we leave here, if you're like, do you have this? And it is something I have, I'll add it and then you can access it later if I do indeed have that thing. So, so anyway, oh, before I get into this though, any questions about that activity or about program descriptions or anything like that? Yeah, y'all did a great job on those program descriptions. Why am I holding this like this?
I have a question.
I have a mic. I don't know why I'm doing.
Can you overthink this?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, just going through the, so when so that's up to somebody in the group to say, stop. Let's go back to the original ideal or something.
What do you mean?
Okay. When we say propose solution, we can can you come up with too many solutions?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So, my husband likes to say that there's no such thing as overthinking, that you personally, and this is more in a personal realm, you personally think as much as you need to understand something, which I think is a great thing for a personal mantra, because overthinking can be something that you, when you say it to an individual, feels bad, right? Like it's criticizing the way they think, right? But as a group, that's a different thing of like, are we taking this too far, right? Are we considering way too many things? So that's something as a group you'd have to come to a conclusion on of, are we talking this to death? Is kind of what my phrase we come to, like, the horse is dead. We've beaten the horse, like, can we move on? So yeah, it's possible to get to that point where you just gotta make a decision. So it all depends on the personality of your group, honestly. So yeah, at some point you got to make a choice and move on. Okay, so any other before I move on? Okay, so this is just me. This is how I do it. Other people have other approaches. I don't, if this is helpful for anybody here, then great. If not, I apologize for taking up your time. So anyway, when I'm applying for a grant, what I find extremely useful is to fully understand who I'm applying to, because the way the language you use can have an influence on whether or not they think your proposal is good. So it's really important to pay attention to how they talk about things, because they may use a certain phrase. Like there's all kinds of different terms sometimes in different fields, and you want to use the term they use, right? Like there might be 5 different ways to say one thing, and you want to use the way they talk about it, right? Also, there might be just different, like their values that they mention. You kind of want to lean into their values, like our values as an organization, our focus areas, our grant priorities. Those are the things you want to pay attention to and make sure you're addressing throughout your proposal. Yeah.
Yeah, once again, the challenge for us is, like we were talking about, being a church,
Yeah.
using our church lingo,
Yeah.
especially in our mission statement. We understand what it is,
Right.
but
yeah.
the grant writer, even the community, might
Yeah.
not know what it is. So that's
I think that's especially challenging for churches because you'll use a lot of spiritual language that other people might not receive it in the same way or even understand it in the same way. So yeah, that's that's definitely a challenge. And then sometimes you're not even eligible for the grants because they won't give to religious organizations or yeah.
I have a question too.
Yeah, she has. Sorry, I put that as far from you as I could possibly.
Okay. I just want to ask, in the changing climate, as most of us may know, when we're talking about the community we're serving, have you noticed at all that it may not be a good thing to put in minority or certain groups that you're targeting? Is it best to just say underrepresented in certain areas? Because if you a lot of people are going away from saying, putting ethnicity in their grants or who they're targeting to represent. And although a lot of grants really are targeting a certain people, but with the changing climate, do you think it's best that we use different wording now?
I think that is where you look at the foundation you're applying to and use their language, because I think I see underrepresented the most. There's also, I feel like there's a phrase I can't think of. I know the acronym is ISP. I can't remember what that stands for, but I see that a lot.
I know on college campuses it's really rough, and a lot of people are using underrepresented rather than putting ethnicity and things and stuff.
Yeah, and
I mean, I don't know if in the grant how it's going now.
I mean, it totally depends on the foundation because there are some that will come right out and say like the specific ethnicity or race they are looking to help. But most of the time it's like underserved or underrepresented communities, I would say. So I would just look at who you're applying to and use that language. Okay. That's the easiest to do. Yeah. 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 That's why I find it so important to look at the foundation's website if they have one, and to look at the RFP, because the RFP will be your guide. The RFP, in case you don't know, it stands for Request for Proposals, and it will outline the type of grant it is, and it'll say in there like the purpose of this grant is to da 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 da, and it will say, we have this goal and we want to serve these people, and then you go, okay, that's how we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about serving this type of person because that's what you said, or this type of community or whatever. So that'll give you a lot of the language you want to use. It also gives you like, do you need to sound more academic or do you need to sound more plain language? You can kind of get that feel from the RFP as well. If you're writing for college funding, typically you're going to want to sound more academic. If not, you don't want to go too jargony and go over their heads. But if they're specific funders in the field in which you work, then the lingo that you use in that field is probably fine. That kind of thing. So, yeah, so basically what I was saying, like keep notes of keywords and phrases they use. Also, it is so ridiculous now that we still have this happen, but there are still funders that will be like, use 1-inch margins, use double spacing, use this kind of point of font. It's like, come on. It's just now honestly, so many of them now have online portals and you just copy and paste your information into their online form and that's how it's done now. So it's not, but a lot of them still have like you do this attachment and it has to be in 12 point times New Roman 1-inch. It's ridiculous. So that's the kind of thing I make note of at the beginning because you can easily forget that as you're going along and you're writing all this stuff. That's the stuff you'll forget at the end. And and then of course gather all your materials, which we've been talking about. I also would offer the advice again, except for Rolanda over there, we all hate writing. And my mantra is write first, edit later. I'm not good at sticking to this mantra because I tend to write, I tend to edit as I write. But if you can, just get stuff on paper. Just and by on paper, I also mean the screen, like whichever way you're doing it. Just brain dump if you can, and it doesn't have to be perfect. The point is to get it all out, and then you can edit it later and leave multiple sessions to do it because you'll think of different things at different times and just out, edit. Just try to give yourself that break. And then, when you get to the final edits, just reread the RFP and then reread your proposal to make sure you didn't miss anything. Obviously double check your spelling and grammar. Where you can, reword choppy sentences, run-on phrases, stuff like that. Some grants are so competitive that a well-written proposal might be the difference. But, really it's the program, the strength of the program that's going to get you funding or not get you funding. But a well-written proposal might make that difference of whether or not they're going to bother to read your proposal, So, and then also have another person read it for you. It is so easy to read what you expect to see there, which is another reason why reading it out loud is good. Because when you are forced to read it out loud and you go to, it's so strange. It is so strange. You can read your thing 20 times and you can be like, yep, that says exactly what I think. And then as soon as you have to say it out loud, you're like, oh, I used the wrong there, or, I missed a word or whatever. So just a couple thoughts there.
We should have grant writers.
Yeah. So, any questions about that? Those are just my little grant writing tips. All right. I think we're might be heading towards ending early here. All right. So, we did that. Okay. So this, I have a couple things to share. One was when I was bouncing around. In case you're not aware, the Toledo Library has a subscription to something called the Foundation Directory online. Are you all familiar with that? You can log in at any branch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to be here to log in. You can't just log in from home. Foundation Directory online. It is a database of hundreds of thousands of funders and grants. And as long as you're at a library location, you can log into it. There is also a person in charge of that. Zach?
Yep, I think Zach does it downtown at the main.
I think that's what we were thinking earlier. There is a gentleman named Zach who is at the main library downtown. So if you want the research librarian in charge of that, you got to go to the downtown library. and he will show you how to use it. He will help you find grants. In fact, I believe if you speak with him and then leave him some search parameters, I think he will even email you some possibilities. Yeah. So it's a great resource. It will list all kinds of potential funders by subject, target group, stuff like that. So that's a resource to use. And then another, I just wanted to throw this out as a thought. So I mentioned earlier that I'm not really doing like consulting anymore, like paid consulting anymore, because I'm working a full-time job. But something I have been considering is from time to time just having open office hours to help, just like on a volunteer basis, just help people who drop in. And I was just wondering if that was something that would be of interest to anybody. Hand goes up. Okay. I've been pondering maybe just like setting up at a local coffee shop, and then and if anybody is, I'm here. If you stop in, you have a grant you want me to look at and help you with, you just have some questions. Whoever pops by can ask questions, and you know what I mean. Maybe I'll just put out a piece of paper. You can put your email down, and if I decide to do that, I'll just email you. Is that good?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Also add you to the boot camp email. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of emails, but you just want to do it that way. You email the boot camp thing, but we send like just for the upcoming appointments. But I can give you the list of people if you want.
Okay.
I can share the list with you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you'll have everybody.
How about I do both?
Okay.
I'll do the people here, the people here, and then that, and yeah, because that's just something I've thought about doing. Just because I really like to help nonprofits, but I really don't want to take on any clients. But if I can just limit my time, then good. Okay. All right, so I think that's everything I needed to cover. Yes. Oh.
Now the drive that you said you were sharing with
Yes.
us, are you?
I'm gonna put the QR code up.
Okay.
Yes. I can. Yeah, we can do that too. All right, so boot camp folder right there. Yes.
That's a folder with all the documents.
So this is the folder.
Let me see if I can.
This is the folder. If you want to take a picture of it, or if you want to do the QR code. Oh, boo.
I'm texting it.
That has the 4 documents that you have out here. And then if I decide to add anything to it, that'll be in there as well. And yeah, absolutely. If I come up with any other resources, I'll just throw them in there and let you know. So then just any other questions? We might just be done early. Okay. Speaking of pacing, she was talking about earlier about pacing. I was like, oh, I'm a little early.
Oh, we have the evaluations.
Oh, and the evaluations.
Yep. We got a sheet.
Okay.
We'll just send it on that
Just
side.
send it.
Everybody take your evaluation. And I saw everybody engaged, having some conversation. You guys all got a program outline of sorts, right? Ready?
Yes, I was.
She was like, "No, they don't."
I was thinking program of the day today. I was like, "What?" Yes.
Good. So you guys have that. So if you want to start a grant, we talk about this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not.
Right.
I did not.
So the Ohio Commission on Minority Health. Every April is Commission on the Minority Health Month. In years past, this grant wouldn't come out until October. It is out early. and I believe that her name is Angela. I don't know Angela's last name. The director, the new director. But this application is out on June the 10th, and it is not due until July 22nd. So if you have a program that focuses on minority health outcomes, be that mental health, self esteem, physical activity, health and wellness, food security, think about 100 different things that can affect. And this does not all have to be children. It can be adults. It can be women. You can figure out one population. $5,000, a very easy grant to apply for. You've done the prep work today. If you can add in a piece, we talked about, I heard you guys talking about that particular population that you're going to serve. And so if minority is in that population, then you're eligible for this grant. And there's some help that is there as well. I'll pass this sheet around. Take a snapshot of this sheet. The application link is very small, so it's not like you have 1,000 W's and X's and number 7s and all that stuff. It's just mih.ohio.gov. You can get that application or get the information off of their website. Keep the date. It opens June the 10th, and they're giving you, that is for a federal or state grant, to give you 5 weeks, or actually 5.5 weeks. That's very unique. Usually they're like, oh, it's doing like 7 to 14 days.
It's
because they expect you to have a program already. So the work that you did here today will help you get a much easier grant because you're not scrambling trying to come up with a program and a budget. I'm sure you talked about this while I was in the other thing. Yeah. That issue with don't turn in a new program that you haven't done any research on. Everybody that's reading for that grant will know that it is a new program and you have no idea because you haven't done any work. Because you can't possibly get all that stuff done. That's like flying the plane and there's no engine. I'm going to install the engine. We just going to take off first. No, you're not. That's a bad move. That's a terrible move. So we're doing it early. So that was the purpose of that today. So I'll pass this sheet around on that side. You want to take a picture? You got one of these? Okay. Send this all around. Anybody else want? Okay. Anybody else want? You want this? Okay. It's a planning guide. It's just a calendar.
For everybody?
No, I just had a few.
I know.
You know what? This is how I found out that I was a diabetic. I have been a diabetic for 5 years.
Interesting.
That you know about, right?
Yeah, that I know about. But this is a great program for the community because there are so many people walking around with medical conditions and they don't know.
Yeah.
Yep. Then what was the other thing I want to talk about? Oh, I'm kidding. For our graduation ceremony, take this back, on June the 22nd, we have, so all the people that were on the planning committee when we were writing this, you should have received an email asking for a meeting on June the 5th. So check your email. I got it. Yep, if you got this email. So it was the leaders from the different organizations. So the people that have been coming are not the leaders. So if you are here and you want to participate in that planning, but you were not a leader because a lot of the people, they sent you guys and y'all been coming faithfully and they in the wind. Not in a bad way, because I know y'all busy and y'all did send some people, but I'm just saying. So I think it might have been Wanda because Wanda came to all the meetings from the grant workshop. So it probably was Wanda. So if y'all want to be on there, please let Jackie know and we'll send forward the email to everybody so we can plan out our June 5th, June 22nd graduation. And we don't want to go to a library for that one. I got to do some budget number crunching and see what kind of funds we have left over. Should be something. We also want to pay out Tessa and the Urban for the evaluations. We also need to talk about the closeout because the grant closeout is due June the 1st. So we got to talk about, I got to talk to you guys before June the 5th because we got to, so I got to send that final report to Greater Toledo Community Foundation. So we got to look at all of our attendance. Jackie is our admin. So in SPDK, we'll get together and give them all the attendance sheets so we can tabulate attendance and say who was here the most and all that kind of stuff. We want to do like a little award ceremony, invite all of our presenters back, and also invite the Greater Toledo Community Foundation. So that June the 22nd program is very important. We're going to put out a press release. We would love to hear some stories of what's been happening with your organization since January, since you've been here. Some organizations have gotten their first grant ever. Some organizations have new officers. A lot of you have completed the charitable registration. I think that was also in that email, right? Finish your charitable registration. Anybody could do it. You should have gotten it. Okay. Yes, you could do that. Yeah, you can do the charitable registration. The charitable registration from the Ohio Attorney General office just says that you are prepared to be a board member. And if you put in your organization, the organizations that are listed in the Ohio charitable registration are eligible for money from the Ohio Attorney General. Who knew the Ohio Attorney General had money? I did not know that before I went through that charitable registration program probably about a year and a half ago with another organization that I manage. And they were like, oh yeah, we have grant funds all the time. But it's not that many organizations whose their boards or members have done this training. That's the purpose of the training, right? So the Ohio Attorney General office is trying to prepare Ohioans to be better board members, to understand that. It was kind of the impetus with a couple other things for us to get this process going, right? Because we all have excellent services that we provide, but we don't have a business side. And without the business side, it's just it's a group. We're just doing something. But once you get that business piece, it's really a business and you're operating it as such, and it works out for the good of the community. It makes sure that our members and board members, that our leaders are protected. So that insurance talk, honey, if you don't get them insurances on your budget, let me just tell you, it's going to be looking a little funny. So all of those things are available. So think about those things. Go back and talk to your groups, any people that came from your organizations. What kind of presentation can your group put together? So we had about 10 organizations that participated. And some of them came for specific sections. Others came for the whole thing. There's several of you that have been here every single week, right? And so we're looking at all of that so that we can say, how can we move this forward? What are some things we need to change? So we want to get all of that stuff done, wrap up this grant very well. But we want to have a nice celebration. Hopefully we'll get some press. We know that the mainstream press is not really interested in grassroots anything. But maybe we can get a news station out here, because if you know any of the news people, I know Sheila at the Blade. She's a new reporter, urban. Alexis Means, all of those. Let's bombard them with, hey, we in this thing. Let's see if we can get some press on there. Let's have a good story in the news about African American leadership, as opposed to they all going to jail because they took $20,000 between 5 people. We want to do something different, right? We want to have a different. Yep.
That's not true. It's false.
Yep. All kind of stuff. So we want to change that narrative, have a different discussion in the news. And if they don't come, we can do all of our own recording, thanks to Miss Heather. And then we can all put it out on our websites or on our social media and say, these are the things that we went through for 6 months to get training. And when we get ready to write for our next rotation, we charging. So congratulations, y'all. Yeah, we charging. It was a lot of info, a lot of great stuff, a lot of things that hopefully will show a great impact. So we'll be doing some follow through with everybody, staying in control. And y'all need to get to know each other. So when y'all have stuff and y'all need people to work concession stands, hit that list. When New Life need things, we need tons of things. We got all these people here, but we have never asked anything. Put it in that list. So we want to talk about, what does our future conversation look like, and what kind of programs can we work on together, or can we write grants together again in another format for another program, or can we come in, can we, like I always try to share the money. I don't want nobody to think that we ask you to work for free, right? Because that's not how the world works. So we're trying to put out these dollars, and so when we have other grants and things come up, we consider, what is the value of that? I can't probably pay you your value, but I'm definitely not always going to ask you to come in here and do nothing for free, right? Like a lot of city organizations and school districts like to do. Once you get in the habit of getting money and tracking the money and turning in the reporting, you will recognize the value of things like these, and you will tell people, I'm sorry, but there's a cost associated with that. we need money to go into our budget because we need what? An economic driver for our ministry or mission type of work because this is a business. So I'm very happy that you guys came in today. We was a little concerned that 10, like, oh snap. Nobody coming in here, it's getting warmer. I was like, oh God. But y'all came on in. I really appreciate it. Tana, you have any last words? You still got a mic.
Oh, I do. I was holding them both earlier. No, I just wanted to thank you all for coming out. I really enjoyed today. I haven't done this in a while, so it was fun to be back in it. And yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to, I really hope that we do some office hour things in the future. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing your faces again.
Take advantage of those things when people ask you. And we always like to take a picture all together.
Oh, I would love that. I was going to actually ask about that.
Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Ay, still not understand.